So we're not bifurcating this item, and I want to read in the following. So regarding item 32, residential waste collection franchise contracts amendment, I therefore move to approve all of the recommendations set forth in item 32, except the proposed award for the residential franchise contract for the Rowland Heights / South Diamond Bar area to Arcalian Enterprises, Inc., DBA Athens Services. I further move that the Department of Public Works to meet with the community, and I would amend it and include the vendor, to also include the vendor, a minimum of 2 times. So I wouldn't say minimum, 2 times, to explain the procurement process for the residential franchise contract in a culturally competent manner in multiple languages, including Chinese and Spanish, including the basis for the director's recommendation of the award of the contract, and bring back to the board the proposed award for the residential franchise contract for the Rowland Heights / South Diamond Bar area with the report regarding any community feedback. And that's the amendment.
Okay. Item 32 you got public comment. Would you please invite people that would like to speak on item 32 to speak?
Will the following individuals please come forward and staff will assist you? Angelica Prieto, Brandon Macius, Darcy Stenson, Dr. Chavez, Jelani Arriaga, Lilia Lopez, Mark Augustus, Mary Martinez, Micheal Torres, and Peter Gonzales. As a final reminder for participants on the telephone, if you would like to address item 32, if you have not already done so, please press 1, then 0 now to be placed in the speaking queue. Moderator, may we have the first remote speaker, please?
Kevin Hayakawa, your line is open. You may begin.
Good morning, Supervisors. I just wanted to thank Supervisor Solis and support her motion for getting additional community feedback and hearing from the residents. Just to introduce myself, my name is Kevin Hayakawa. I'm a resident of Rowland Heights and a governing board member for the Rowland Unified School District. I completely agree with Supervisor Solis that it feels like residents were kept in the dark and this process was very rushed throughout the holiday season, so many residents weren't paying attention. Looking at the agenda handout, I know it's only like $2, $3, $4 per month higher than other unincorporated areas, but on a monthly basis for bills that are between $36 and $40, that's a 6 to 10% higher rate that Rowland Heights residents would be paying over other surrounding areas. I completely agree that we should have community feedback sessions, and we're a working class community, so virtual participation, an option like that would be really, really helpful for our community. Just want to thank the Board of Supervisors for their consideration. Thank you.
Roy Humphrey, your line is open. You may begin.
Thank you. And here we have Mark Pastrella and his crew from County Public Works with their abject arrogance coming to a meeting on something they should have been prepared for objectively and had some slides. This is the criteria. Picking up trash is nothing new. It's been going on. And what is the rating of these various, what they have 5 different entities doing this business? What is their rating and what did they rate them on? This is all objective situation. And you come to have these public meetings, what a hot air situation, and resolves nothing. And this is the same thing. And what they sent out to Teri Malkin from Eddie Thompson was 75% bovine. And we don't need another bovine meeting out here in Rowland Heights. We need objective business people who know how to conduct business and treat people with respect. That Mark Pastrella and those guys, I would have fired them a long time ago. This is disgraceful, wasting our time when this objectivism, and get the numbers out there in the region. We had value listed there before.
Brian Cureus, your line is open. You may begin.
Hello, everyone. Hello, supervisors. My name is Brian Cureus. I live in Rowland Heights, and I'm really happy to hear that the issue on item 32 regarding the collection disposal contracts will be held for Rowland Heights. I do think, the whole ranking is new to me. I also thought it was lowest bid. So I just really appreciate that we're going to pull the pause on this, especially over the holidays, get folks acquainted to this new system, and even potentially have the current contractor explain, along with Public Works, their process and what they're currently providing to our residents. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Wanda Euing, your line is open. You may begin.
Thank you, Supervisor Solis, for your motion for outreach with our community. We hope that the decision on a contract for the waste hauler for Rowland Heights will be in the best interest of the many retired individuals residing here. As one of the larger unincorporated areas of Los Angeles and more residents to serve, the contract should be awarded to the provider offering a more competitive rate, not a higher rate than smaller unincorporated community areas. Our rates have increased 48% in 3 years and will be higher than any other community. This will be an extremely lucrative contract in the next 7 years with the addition of 1,800 residential units due to the recent loss and rezoning of 156 acres of open space in our community. As a resident of 45 years and a board member of the Rowland Heights Community Coordinating Council, we request you renegotiate with Athens or reevaluate other waste hauler proposals. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Teri Malkin, your line is open. You may begin.
I'm Teri Malkin, and I oppose number 32. I'm a resident of Rowland Heights and a member of several nonprofits. And one of my concerns, and I do support Hilda Solis, our supervisor's separate amendment to 42, but one of the concerns with the higher rate is that it is compounded. And in their own words, this represents $4.28% per month higher than many other service areas. And we'd like more specifically what criteria was used, and if any of the bidders that bid on Rowland Heights were approved with the other communities that are also listed as 32. If their records meeting all 6 criteria were good enough for those areas, why wouldn't they be good enough for Rowland?
Please.
Debra Enos, your line is open. You may begin.
Thank you. Good day and Happy New Year to the board. My name is Debra Enos. I appreciate hearing Supervisor Solis' concern for our communities today, and that there will be outreach to our community as to how this happened and what is being pulled. Hello?
Yes, please go ahead.
Supervisor Hahn's comments. To Supervisor Hahn's comments, please know that this new proposed rate will be 48% higher than just 2.5 years ago. Over the last few years, we no longer receive free extra recycling bins. They now charge $9 each for. Also, no compost bins, which were provided by other haulers, such as in South Whittier. We were told to go to the grocery store and get plastic produce bags. I don't see how this is helpful for our community. Additionally, our unlimited green waste pickups have been reduced to 4 times a year and 10 bags only. Our services with Athens have been continually reduced while we have been asked to continually pay more.
Thank you. Next speaker,
So I
please.
agree with the
Eric Preven, your line is open. You may begin.
Thank you. And I think it was Supervisor Solis who mentioned that a lot of the individuals in the area, a lot of Angelinos in general, don't read the notices, which I think is really, unfortunate, because you should look at these notices. But I also think that for context, people need to understand that the sanitation contracts, despite the upstanding integrity of Mark Pastrella and Public Works, these contractors, including Athens, are long-time bastions of massive corruption. You want to look any further than Greg Smith, who was the guy who was working over at Waste Management for you, then sashayed right back into City Hall. When I looked at it, 2 individuals in the city and county of Los Angeles have had more impact on waste management contracts, Greg Smith and Mark Ridley Thomas. So Supervisor Mitchell, I know you're very pleased to get things going. I think we should have real transparency about these contracts. And I don't understand why it was done during the holidays. Just like everything else, it's done to deflavorize input.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Madam Chair, there are no other remote speakers in the queue to address the board.
Thank you. We will now go to in-person speakers. Please begin.
Good morning, Supervisors. My name is Brandon Macius. As a member of the Rowland community, I'm appalled at such a massive increase in collection fees has almost no oversight or transparency mechanisms for everyday people. It is apparent that the Rowland Heights and South Diamond Bar community have the highest collection rates of any at issue today, with an overall steep increase of nearly 50% in the last few years. As unincorporated communities, we rest the duty of oversight and representation on the county and the Board of Supervisors to work in our best interests. If you want people to believe that county has our back, then show it by opening the system up and asking people for real input from the community. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
My name is Angelica Prieto, and I oppose item 32. Thank you, for those ladies for listening to the community. One of the things that most worry me is the increase of the prices. If in 2022 was $28 roughly per month, and now this year is going to be 41. I think it's a lot of money that they're increasing. We have Valley Vista, that's a better reliable company for trash. I'm here to oppose, and hopefully you guys listen. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Good morning, Board of Supervisors. My name is Lilia Lopez. I oppose contracting Athens for the Rowland Heights. The price has almost doubled in 3 years, and there are more affordable companies that can be contracted instead of Athens. Please consider stopping the contract with Athens. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Good afternoon, Board. My name is Jelani, and I oppose number 32 and continuing to work with Athens in regards to our trash collection. We have many options for different trash haulers we could go with that would help out Rowland Heights and probably make it so that the fees would finally drop and be comparable to other areas that are unincorporated. I hope the board will deny Athens this new contract, and I support Supervisor Solis for wanting to take a pause on this. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and Board of Supervisors. My name is Micheal Torres, and I'm here to oppose the Athens contract for trash collecting in our neighborhood. I also fully support Hilda Solis' amendment to reach out to the community so that information is transparent to them. Athens has been our subpar trash collecting service for some time now, and throughout this time, our cost has been steadily raising. How much will this cost? How much will the service cost rise throughout the years? The cost of living has been steadily increasing and has put a lot of stress on people. We don't need our utilities being raised year after year. We need good, affordable trash service, and I believe the board can do right by the community by opposing this contract and choosing a different company. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Hi, my name is Peter Gonzales. I oppose contracting with Athens Services for the trash collection. Rowland Heights is paying higher trash fees than other surrounding areas. Athens has been trash hauler for years in Rowland Heights, and the services hasn't been that great. So I urge the Board of Supervisors to deny Athens a new contract for trash services in Rowland Heights. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Hello, my name is Mary Martinez. I oppose the contracting with Athens Services for trash collection, since Rowland Heights is paying the highest trash fees than other surrounding areas. I urge the Board of Supervisors to deny Athens a new contract for trash services in Rowland Heights. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Yes, hi, I'm Darcy Stenson. I just wanted to say thank you, Ms. Solis. Out of all the supervisors, you're the only one that it looks like you're paying attention to your people. Most of them are on their phones or having conversations within one another. That's super disrespectful, like insanely disrespectful. And so the surprise bill that they got for Christmas, that's bad for them. But the other supervisors, I think I did hear one of the other ones speaking about your constituents. So one thing I will say about you guys is thank you for trying to listen to your constituents, especially Ms. Solis. I don't know you, but I've watched you through this meeting and you're paying attention to your people. I really wish, Catherine Barger, you would do that to your constituents. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Go ahead and speak.
things would get brighter.
Dawn said she can, you said she would.
Ma'am, this is on a specific item. If you want to do that during general public comment, you'd be allowed to do so, but you need to be on topic of the item being discussed.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Madam Chair, there are no other persons to address the board.
Number 32 before us as amended, moved by Supervisor Solis.
On item 32, Supervisor Solis.
Aye.
Supervisor Solis, aye. Supervisor Mitchell.
Aye.
Supervisor Mitchell, aye. Supervisor Horvath.
Aye.
Supervisor Horvath, aye. Supervisor Hahn.
Aye.
Supervisor Hahn, aye. Supervisor Barger.
Aye.
Supervisor Barger, aye. Motion passes 5-0.
All right, we will now move on to item 39, a report on the implementation plan for Measure E, which I held. For members of the public on the telephone, please press 1, then 0 to comment on this item. So with that, I think Chief Maroney, you're here. If you'd like to give a presentation, I know today's a busy day, so we'll try to get you out because I know we've got a couple of fires that you're dealing with right now. Thank you for being here. With Measure E passing, I know that there have been priorities that you've had within your department as it relates to equipment, staffing, which when we talk about staffing, that's the overall well-being of each and every one of our firefighter paramedics. So I would just like you to kind of give us an overview in terms of how you see this rolling out and what you plan on doing with the revenue.
Absolutely. Good afternoon, supervisors. Before I begin, I'd like to introduce members of my team, Chief Deputy of Business Operations, Teresa Barrera, and I also have our Fire Department Admin Deputy with us, Julia Kim. Before I start with the Measure E spending plan draft, I just wanted to give an update on the very destructive Palasaids Fire that started about 10:30 in the city of Los Angeles. It was being fought by City of Los Angeles resources only. However, LA County Fire did give a first alarm brush. However, we are now in unified command with the City of Los Angeles because of the significant threat to the Topanga Canyon area, which is just to the west. Structures are threatened, and we do have reports that structures are burning right now, and that Governor Gavin Newsom is en route to Southern California. So the fire is now being fought by both LA County and LA City resources, and I'll keep the board updated when the fire transitions into the County of Los Angeles.
Thank you, Chief. I just, that's in my district, and that is what I've been following on the phone. I know there was a speaker who was concerned about that, but we have to be engaged when there's a fire emergency. So
yeah, very destructive fire.
I appreciate your leadership. Thank you.
Yeah. So an overview of the fire district's 24-25 final adopted budget. Our budget is $1.756 billion. The revenue generated by Measure E, the special tax, will require annual approval of the spending plan by the Board of Supervisors by June 30th of each year before the next fiscal year begins. Measure E is projected to generate $152 million annually and will be available to the district in 2026. And can be used for the following priorities: hiring, training, and certifying additional firefighters and paramedics, communications and information technology systems, facilities, vehicles, aircraft, and boats, life-saving rescue tools, wildfire protection, and emergency response tools and infrastructure. Our priorities will be facilities, the construction, replacement, and repair and upgrade of our 261 facilities that have an average age of over 50 years old. Our oldest fire station currently is 99 years old. It was placed into service in 2024 and have limited capacity to meet increasing demands for fire, paramedic, and lifeguard service delivery. Therefore, we will prioritize the following in the spending plan. $15 million set aside each year for the next 5 years to fund the replacement of 5 fire stations due to seismic issues. $6.8 million for facility repair, seismic retrofitting of 5 fire stations, and towards the new CEOC center build-out. $35.6 million to fund the replacement of Fire Station 81 in Agua Dulce, where one of our members was murdered, and the construction of another fire station in Lancaster to help alleviate the call volume burden on Fire Station 33, one of the busiest fire stations in the nation. And then $5 million, as I discussed earlier, towards the fire department's contribution for the county's new Emergency Operations Center. Vehicles and apparatus. The fire district needs to immediately replace aging engines, trucks, paramedic squads, and other emergency vehicles. We have approximately 1,600 vehicles, 1,000 emergency vehicles, and 600 non-emergency vehicles. Our older vehicles incur more maintenance costs, and we do not meet the National Fire Protection Administration recommendation of 15 years frontline service, 5 years reserve. The district has had to add 5 years to each one of those metrics, so we now have vehicles that are 20 years in service frontline and 25 years for reserve. Therefore, the Measure E spending plan will include $25 million to increase our existing budget for vehicles and apparatus replacement, bringing it from $13.8 million annually to $38.8 million. Personnel staffing. The National Fire Protection Administration standard for firefighting engines is 4-person staffing. Therefore, we will prioritize the conversion of the first 15 engine companies from 3-person staffing to 4-person staffing, costing approximately $12 million a year annually ongoing. The district's goal is to systematically transition all 163 engine companies to 4-person staffing to meet the NFPA standard to provide better care to the communities we serve. Helicopter replacement. The district currently has 10 helicopters. Many are in need of replacement. Upgraded helicopters are needed for fighting fast-moving wildfires like the one we're experiencing today due to climate change. The district currently has 2 Firehawks, our Sikorsky Firehawks, that have been in service over 25 years. We are prioritizing the replacement of one of the Sikorsky Firehawks at a cost of $36.4 million. Communications and IT equipment. Due to the district's long-term financial challenges, communication and information technology equipment has not been upgraded for over a decade. Therefore, $5.1 million in Measure E funding will be used for the following. $2.8 million to augment our computer-aided dispatch replacement project. We've heard in the news lately that LASD had a failure of their computer-aided dispatch computer, and we need to replace ours. It's over 30 years old.
Can I ask you a question on that? Because I was talking
Yes,
to
Supervisor.
Solis, and I'm glad you brought that up because I was going to ask you about it. Why are you not working with the sheriff with their RFP to leverage like a better price per contract? Because you want the interoperability. I mean, we want to be able to communicate, especially the Olympics coming up.
Correct. Interoperability is important. We do have LA RICS. We do have a console switch interface between the sheriff's dispatch center and the fire dispatch center. I was unaware that the sheriff's dispatch CAD was in such bad condition. You're correct. Whenever 2 large county departments need to do the same thing, they should partner together to get the best price available. And we will be working with the sheriffs to make sure that when they go out for an RFP for a new CAD, that we're also doing that. We're doing that now.
It's out. Their RFP's out.
Our RFP is going to be out in early 2025.
But that's my point. Fisa, can you work with them? Because I'm wondering, because they have not awarded the contract, because if they're using ABC and you choose EFG, I mean, I'm wondering why we're not better
So we'll work with the CIO and get the two departments together to see what the operational needs are for each department and then what's included in the solicitation.
Okay.
Thank you. Sorry.
So that's quite all right, but we are moving forward with a new CAD. We were going to have it by early 2027, but I'm more than happy to partner with the sheriffs. I was unaware of the challenges they were facing.
Okay, we could do a meeting before 2027.
Thank you. So 1.5 million for the dispatch console hardware that is over 7 years old, 600,000 to upgrade the backhaul networking equipment, our station control units, and our air-to-ground simulcast network to strengthen emergency communications capabilities during times of local and widespread disaster. And finally, 200,000 for mobile routers on our district vehicles. For firefighting equipment, to ensure that appropriate funding for replacement equipment, the district plans to set aside $11.1 million annually of Measure E for self-contained breathing apparatus, Zoll cardiac monitors and defibrillators, and automated external defibrillators that allow firefighter EMTs to immediately treat cardiac arrest patients in our communities. Other priorities. The district is also planning to include the following items as the spending plan is developed. Fully funding the department's APRUs, Advanced Practitioner Response Units, and expanding into SD3 and 4 in 2026 with Measure E funding. We will have a one-year gap in 2025 where the department does not have the funding, but we are going to work closely with the CEO to make sure that we can get that handled. Also, a whole blood pilot program has been approved with a grant from the Productivity Investment Fund. The department is, after the pilot program is done, is going to look towards a whole blood program throughout LA County to save the lives of people who are bleeding out. Also, repair and replacement of select fire stations, air operations facilities, lifeguard facilities, training facilities, and logistics support facilities to include a new fire headquarters. IT infrastructure projects, including new scheduling and timekeeping systems for firefighters, expansion of the training division to support the training of new firefighters and paramedics, and future replacement of helicopters, boats, communication systems equipment, and firefighting tools and equipment. I'm now available to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you, Supervisor Hahn. You and I requested it, that's why I was.
Oh, okay. I think it was about the numbers there. Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Chief, for that presentation. First of all, thank you, LA County voters in the fire district for approving Measure E in November. It's a huge vote of confidence in our LA County Fire Department, and it's a huge boost, obviously, to everything that you need to do to make sure that we have the best cutting edge technology and equipment for the men and women in our fire department. Again, I always say it is so unique here in LA County. Our voters will vote to raise their own taxes, specifically when they know it's going for something that will ultimately benefit them. It is not that case in other parts of probably the state, and certainly not in other parts of the country. People complain about high taxes, but here, when you make the case to our voters, they will agree to raise their own taxes. So, and again, I think it's a testament to our fire department and how much average people every single day, notwithstanding, high fire instances, really rely on their fire department, particularly as it relates to 911 calls. We know that calls to the paramedics continue to stay very high. So this money could not have come at a better time for your department, Chief. And you've identified a lot of the needs and how you plan to spend this money. So just a few questions for me. Looking at the fire stations that you have highlighted as needing replacement and the ones that will be prioritized, of course, I've been hearing for years from the city of Whittier that their fire station 17 needs to be replaced. And they, of course, were thrilled when Measure E was passed and hoped that meant that that station could be replaced. Wasn't one of the ones that you initially mentioned. So how did you determine in the first go around which stations needed to be replaced?
Thank you for that question. So in 2018, an assessment by AECOM was performed of district facilities, and then again in November of 2019, Johnson Fain did a similar report regarding the district's 261 facilities. We did that in conjunction with the CEO. How we prioritized new replacement fire stations was we do have 5 fire stations that are not seismically safe. So we're going to prioritize the replacement of those stations, but simultaneously, we want to work on a new Station 81 and a new Station 33. We're also currently working on a replacement to Fire Station 8 in West Hollywood. We're going to be retrofitting seismically Fire Station 171 in Inglewood. And Fire Station 17 is a current department project, and the department does have an accumulated capital outlay for capital projects, and we do have money set aside to help us with the construction of a new Fire Station 17 in Whittier because it is an unreinforced masonry structure.
I see. Thank you for that. So some of the things that you talked about too was funds to replace vehicles, and didn't really specify what are you talking about? What kind of vehicles are you talking about replacing?
Our immediate need is for new emergency vehicles, 1,000 vehicles. They represent engines, hook and ladder trucks, paramedic squads, crew buses, and those need to be replaced immediately, the ones that are 25 years old. We also have non-emergency vehicles, and we are transitioning our fleet of 600 non-emergency vehicles to either all-electric or hybrid. We're also working with the lifeguard division on electric vehicles for our beaches.
Right, good, thank you. That was my next question. And then how do you plan to identify the 15 engine companies that will be converted from 3-people teams to 4-people teams?
Yeah, we're going to do an assessment of our 121 3-person engines to find out who has the greatest need due to call volume and the types of calls that they go on. It's going to take a while for the district to transition to 90 3-person engines becoming 4-person engines. That will cost the district ongoing $72 million in salary and employee benefits. So we have to be really cautious with the use of Measure E. Not all of it can go to programs that cover S&EB. We do need to buy equipment because for many years, due to our structural deficit, we've neglected facilities and apparatus and equipment. So it's going to be a balancing act for the fire district, but we are going to work closely with the CEO to make sure that we come up with a spending plan that not only makes sense, but that's sustainable.
Right, thank you. And I know, Madam Chairwoman, you talked about the CAD system a little bit, and I know, Chief, you and I had spoke about the fire department's CAD system and being different than the sheriff's, because the sheriff's was station-based, and their RFP now is to centralize it, because apparently there are no contractors out there that even do station-based CAD systems. You've always had a centralized CAD system, and it does look like, I think it's too late to leverage the RFP process, because it's my understanding that the sheriff went out 1.5 years ago with that. But it does seem like there'll be, we don't have to go into it, but you and I did speak about the opportunities for co-location of this centralized CAD system, both for the sheriffs and both for the fire department. And I think that's something we'll probably be looking at in the future to, unify those systems. Just my last point is that so much of this is about facilities, physical things, replacing vehicles, helicopters, fire stations, firefighting equipment, and technology. And obviously, it's our goal to have the best equipped and the best technology for our men and women in the fire department. But I think most residents probably want to know, how is this spending plan going to translate to them for faster response time from the fire department? And can you briefly say how this spending plan actually will translate ultimately to better services for the residents of the fire district?
Yeah, thank you for that question. So you're correct. We do want to reduce response times. The department currently operates out of 176 stations throughout the county. Most of our supervisorial districts have good response times with the exception of SD5. SD5 is very rural and not everybody is 5 to 8 minutes away from first responders. So by building new fire stations that reduce response times, we're going to be able to better serve our residents in our communities. And then by adding paramedic rescue squads to existing fire stations in the other supervisorial districts, we can bring that life-saving paramedic care closer to existing communities that have enough fire stations, they just don't have enough paramedic units.
Right.
We need to increase the number of paramedic units, the number of APRUs, and we need to embrace life-saving programs like the whole blood program in order to increase the life expectancy of our residents.
Thank you. And I did miss, I missed a note that I made on the CAD system. So your CAD system is also old and outdated, as you said. I think the one thing we all would like to prevent is what happened with the sheriff's department, where it actually crashed and ultimately affected public safety.
Yes.
What's to prevent yours from crashing, and what's your timeline for replacing it?
So I think that the only thing we can do to prevent our CAD from crashing, although it appears to be very stable right now, is to replace it with a new cloud-based CAD system. You're correct, the LA County Sheriff's CAD system is a linear-based system that operates out of their neighborhood sheriff stations. We have a centralized CAD system that operates out of our dispatch center on Eastern Avenue. It's not the same type of CAD as the sheriff. If the sheriff could adopt a CAD similar to what we use, we could co-locate and act as a backup to the sheriffs, and the sheriffs could act as a backup to us. So if one CAD does go down, there's another CAD in the county that can immediately take over to make sure that 911 operations aren't interrupted.
That seems efficient. And what was your timeline for replacing yours?
We were on track for a new CAD to be implemented in January of 2027.
And you're confident that this one will last?
Well, correct. Our current CAD has lasted for 30 years. It's written in COBOL, so they do have trouble finding people that can work and upgrade COBOL systems. So if we get a new CAD and co-locate with the sheriffs in a new county CEOC, I think that would be doing the best for our residents and communities.
Keisha, did you want to talk about Norman Bob?
On the maintenance, so we don't just have to rely on prayer. I do believe that the fire department has a maintenance contract. The sheriff did not. And so even though the system is old and it's written in COBOL and not many people know that language, they do have some maintenance and support to keep it ongoing. And that was not the case that we had with the sheriff.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Supervisor Horvath.
Thank you. I want to start again by saying thank you for the work that you're doing now. I know there was also a small fire just north of Sunset Boulevard in West Hollywood and LA boundary. So there's a lot of activity going on, and we are holding our community members close, and of course the members of your department close who will be out there responding in these emergencies. Thank you. And I also want to acknowledge and thank you for the work that you did on the Franklin fire. I don't think we've had the opportunity to acknowledge that here since that time, bookending our holidays with these two fires. We just thank you for the ways that you show up for our community members and get the job done. I appreciate the detailed summary on how Measure E funds will be used by the department. And I know that you're thinking of, you've articulated, a variety of different areas where you'll be investing. How are you prioritizing, since it sounds like there's a lot that's happening in each of our districts, as well as for the...
It costs the district $30 million a year to staff 4 stations in the city of Inglewood. They give the district $20 million, and the district contributes $10 million. That's not fair. It's not fair to the taxpayers in the district cities that not only pay property tax, but pay the special tax, and also the unincorporated areas that pay their taxes, for those taxes to go towards contract cities. And we're having those tough negotiations right now, but I'm gonna prioritize LA County residents and LA County firefighters before our contract cities.
And I don't think anyone up on this dais would disagree with that. There's no question about it. Regarding the 4 firefighters, just one more question on that. Do you find, you're gonna be looking strategically at where the volume is, correct?
The busiest engines and the ones that have the most working incidents will be the first engine companies to get the 4-person staffing.
Okay, great, thank you. All right, seeing no other supervisors who would like to speak on this item, Executive Officer, please call members of the public who've signed up to speak on it.
Madam Chair, there are no in-person speakers that have signed up for this item. As a final reminder for participants on the telephone, if you would like to address item 39, if you have not already done so, please press 1 and then 0 now to be placed in the speaking queue. Moderator, may we have the first speaker, please?
Gerard Wright, your line is open. You may begin.
All right, Gerard Wright with the Greater LA Realtors. Thank you so much for the thorough presentation of at least what's going to be the parcel tax dollars are going to be spent on for fire safety. Will this information be at least publicized in a document for the public? Because I think this was a kind of a sticking point for some of my members who saw the high parcel tax but didn't know exactly what this was going to be spent on. And I think having this information will be very, very important for some areas who are making those transactions, for example, in West Hollywood or in Inglewood or in the North County area, make an important, informed decision on what's going on. So thank you so very much.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Roy Humphrey, your line is open. You may begin.
Yes, you live in California, Los Angeles County, home of Silicon Valley, and the home of Elon Musk 2025, and fail to have state-of-the-art integrated interactive computer systems is an abomination. And if you pay 1 penny to the support of Biden illegal aliens, may you and your family sleep with the fleas of 1,000 camels. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Madam Chair, there are no other remote speakers in the queue to address the board.
All right, this is a receive and file, so hearing no objections, that will be the order. Again, thank you, Chief Maroney, and I hope that we get things under control out there.
Yeah, thank you, Supervisor Barger.
Thank you. So now we move on to specials, and it's my understanding that none of my colleagues have any specials to introduce for the next board meeting. So we will go on to general public comment. We will now hear from members of the public wishing to address the board on general public comment. For members on the phone, you can press 1 and 0 to be put in the queue. Executive Officer, please read in the call-in information for those members of the public who've signed up to speak on general public comment.
Members of the public, you will have 1 minute to address the board on general public comment. Please state your name for the record. You may only address the board on general public comment. We will now call in-person speakers, and while they are coming forward, we will take telephonic speakers.
Will the following individuals please come forward and staff will assist you? Adelaide Vasquez, Alejandro Estella, Darcy Stenson, Daryl Terrell, Donicia Augustus, Erica Larson, Ian Jameson, Ilya Seglin, Jennifer Elkins, Kadeem Booth, Kathleen Dalton, Kaylee Elkins, Noemi Sanchez, O'Shea Orchid, Ron Cunningham, and Savannah Robertson. As a final reminder for participants on the telephone, if you would like to address the board on general public comment, if you have not, please press 1 then 0 now to be placed in the speaking queue. Moderator, may we have the first speaker, please?
Luca Contreras, your line is open. You may begin.
Hello, my name is Lucas Contreras, and I want to,
And yes, so thank you very much. And to this County Board of Supervisors, if you in any way impede Donald Trump and the federal government in attempting to remedy this illegal influx of border crossers into this state, I hope and I pray that you will find yourself in federal detention and prosecuted accordingly. This is the United States of America. In case you forgot, you did a Pledge of Allegiance unless you were falsifying that endeavor at the beginning of this meeting. This is the United States of America, and this garbage put out by your cousin Newsom is nauseating. You are disgraceful that you impede and that you embellish this thing and spend one penny on. You should be taken to task immediately. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.